The first regular service I attended at the Unitarian Society of Hartford in Connecticut was on Easter Sunday, 2001. Hartford Sanctuary is large and round, with two sets of fixed pews on either side of a central aisle, and attached to the backs of those pews are holders for hymn books and offering envelopes. Just as nature abhors a vacuum, UUs don't like empty storage space. So the holders were also full of flyers, brochures, and other printed materials. That Sunday, as I sat in the pews, listening to the music and waiting for the service to start, I looked through those materials and I found that one of them was about different ways to engage with the life of the congregation. There were various questions. Are you interested in singing in the choir? Well, yes, that was one of the reasons I decided to go. Are you interested in coming to potlucks? Food? Sure. Are you interested in teaching RE? Maybe. Are you interested in ministry? Whoa. I think it actually said, are you interested in small group ministry? But I didn't know what that was. So I thought it was asking me if I was interested in becoming a minister. And I just sat there staring at it for what seemed like a really long time. It was already a major step for me to be there on a Sunday morning. As a teenager, I had decided I was an atheist. I had little patience for churches or religion, but I had come around to a science and earth-based spirituality that had lots of people tell me I needed to check out Unitarian Universalism. So a question asking me if I was interested in ministry when I had only just come around to the idea of going to church was a lot to handle. Well, that question on a piece of card in the holder on the back of a pew wasn't a primary or even significant reason. By the end of the decade, I was becoming a minister. It was on May 2nd, 2010, in fact, that you, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Peninsula, called me as minister. And we have been on this journey of figuring out what ministry is ever since. I had also found out what small group ministry is. Small group ministry is what we call fellowship circles, a regular gathering of 6 to 10 people to share personal experiences and listen with deep compassion. I had been part of that in Hartford, and I had realized how important such groups are for both individual spirituality and for community development. So I was very glad, as I got to know the UUFP during the search process, that you had a thriving program, fellowship circles, that involved many members and some non-members. And in just a few years, it had helped to transform the culture of the congregation from oppositional and combative to respectful and cooperative. Now, you might wonder why fellowship circles and similar programs in other congregations are called small group ministry. Not the small group part, but the ministry part. Why not discussions or some other less churchy word than ministry? There are a couple of reasons. First, the people in the small groups are literally ministering to one another, offering compassionate, deep listening that really doesn't exist anywhere else in today's world. To do that is ministry. Second, the small groups have facilitators who are trained and in turn supported by the minister. Since each facilitator is running their small group, it's hard for them to receive the benefits of it at the same time. So they're also part of a small group run by the minister. That also means that each facilitator is running their small group, in a sense, on behalf of the minister. So it's not just ministry, it's shared ministry. This might be a new concept for some of you, given that how most of us understand religion in our society is in terms of hierarchy. There are lay people, regular churchgoers, and separate from them are the ministers. There might be a hierarchy of ministers, priests, bishops, cardinals, popes, but they're distinct from lay people in having some connection to God that lay people just don't have. Whether we're Catholic or not, it's ingrained in our society that lay people cannot really connect with God except through their minister. Now, the Protestant Reformation was supposed to scrap that idea, replacing it instead with the priesthood of all believers. But, you know, it's only been 500 years for that to catch on. In contrast to a hierarchy of holiness, Unitarian Universalism puts everyone on a level playing field. The only difference between you and me is that I've had training to be a professional minister, and I have the mountain of student debt to prove it. And it's my full-time and then some job to do ministry professionally. But as such, I want to stress, I'm not the boss of the congregation, telling everyone what they should be doing and making all the congregation's decisions, nor am I, if you want to get technical about it, an employee. I don't have a contract because I'm not hired to work for you. Rather, I have an agreement because I'm called to work with you. This makes payroll and taxes really complicated. But what it comes down to is that we don't have a contractual relationship. We have a covenantal relationship because I am in partnership with you, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Peninsula, in partnership to do ministry, shared ministry together. So set aside the idea of ministry as something that only a specially designated or ordained group of people get to do, and listen to how the UU minister Gordon Bucky McKeeman described it. Ministry is all that we do together. Ministry is that quality of being in community that affirms human dignity, that beckons forth hidden possibilities, invites us into deeper, more constant, reverent relationships, and carries forward our heritage of hope and liberation. Ministry is what we do together as we celebrate triumphs of the human spirit, miracles of birth and life, wonders of devotion and sacrifice. Ministry is what we do together with one another in terror and torment, in grief, in misery and pain, enabling us in the presence of death to say yes to life. Ministry is all these and much more, for we speak and live the best we know with full knowledge that it is never quite enough. And yet we are reassured by lostness found, fragments reunited, wounds healed, and joy shared. Ministry is what we all do together. Think of this as it relates to all that we do here at the UUFP. We like to organize ourselves around functions and programs, but what if we recognize that all that we do together is, in fact, ministry? So religious education isn't just something we do to teach ideas to children or intellectually stimulate adults. Rather, religious exploration is a shared ministry of faith development, of spiritual growth. Social justice isn't just a secular grappling with issues that can awkwardly feel political. Rather, it's a shared ministry of living our values speaking truth to power, and bringing the beloved community into being. Everything we do on Sunday morning is shared ministry too. Preaching is more than giving a talk. Music is more than entertainment. Silence is more than the absence of noise. Hospitality is more than making coffee. Speaking of which, coming together again in person as we now are, we'll be reconstituting hospitality teams in the coming months. These, as you may remember from before the pandemic, are a way of making sure that we have greeters and ushers and light refreshments every Sunday morning without requiring too much of any individual member. Everyone in the congregation is on one of 4 hospitality teams, which take it in turns each month to make sure that our Sunday mornings go smoothly. With everyone on a hospitality team being willing to serve in their chosen role once or at most twice a month, it shouldn't be necessary for anyone else on their team to serve more than that either. While this is about making sure that certain tasks are handled, and as I said last Sunday, the expectation is that you only do what you can do, it's more than just checking tasks off a list. Hospitality is a shared ministry of welcoming and inclusion, both to newcomers who are hesitatingly checking us out in person for the first or second time, and to established congregants. There's another form of shared ministry in a congregation, and that's caring for and supporting one another. Now, I asked you to be especially mindful of that during the pandemic, and I'm pleased that I heard many examples of you checking in with one another, helping one another out with getting groceries, even being part of the same bubble so that you could socialize and still be safe. The membership committee and I also tried to keep track of who we weren't seeing on Zoom or otherwise hearing from so that we could reach out to them, because it truly was a group effort to keep our community connected. Now that COVID-19 is becoming endemic, we're faced with the task of rebuilding and growing community after the pandemic. That means continuing to be mindful of, caring for, and supporting one another, particularly when it comes to members and friends we don't see very often in person or on Zoom. This isn't about everyone keeping track of everyone else. Again, you do what you can do. But it is about the fact that being part of this congregation doesn't end when we leave the building or log off. Our relationships don't only exist within our walls, but also beyond them. For example, our caring team organizes members to take meals to someone who is sick or recovering from surgery. When someone is grieving, we send them a card, maybe flowers. If someone needs a ride to a doctor's appointment or to get here on a Sunday morning, the caring team helps with that too. These ways of responding to such needs in congregations are so common that they're known as the 3 R's of caring: rides, roses, and rigatoni. But think about it. I don't know anyone here who would take someone a meal by putting their casserole on the doorstep, ringing the bell, and then running away. No, they would take a little time to chat, maybe even to visit, to support and listen to somebody who is likely in need of encouragement, who may even be lonely. That's actually doing lay pastoral care. And it makes the 3 R's of caring a shared ministry too. Even if all you think that you're doing is dropping off a meal, something that anybody could do. And that's my point. Anybody can do shared ministry. And that was Bucky McKeeman's point too. Ministry is what we all do together. Another version of McKeeman's reflection, in fact, is titled Anyone's Ministry. So this morning, I have a big announcement. I'm deputizing all of you, every single one of you, to provide lay pastoral care to one another. Most of you are doing it already, when you simply stop and take the time to listen to one another. If you want to take some more formal training in it, I can set that up for you. But all of you right here, right now, are able to do this simply by offering one another your compassion and your attention. On the subject of specific needs, by the way, including the need for pastoral care that might go beyond what a layperson can offer, please do tell me, or if not me, then Judy Remsberg as the care team coordinator or someone else on the membership committee. And that goes double if you're going into hospital. What's more, if you hear that another member or friend has gone into hospital, please let me know that too. I would rather hear from 10 people that someone's in hospital than not hear it from anybody. Please don't assume if something significant happens to you or to another person in the congregation that I will just know about it somehow. I'm not psychic. Facebook doesn't tell me anything useful. And there are no little birds or woodland creatures that come tell me what's happening. The word minister comes from the Latin meaning servant. That offends our progressive egalitarian sensibilities, of course. So think of ministry as being about service rather than subservience. When I introduce myself, for instance, I note that as minister here, I serve the mission of the UUFP. And similarly, when I talk about you, I don't refer to you as my congregation. I don't own you, but rather as the congregation whose mission I serve. But if ministry is about service, and shared ministry is about service together, then just look at that. Doing shared ministry is part of our mission. Grow in wonder, connect in love, engage in service, and inspire generosity. That engage in service piece of our mission is your call to shared ministry. Whether that for you is religious exploration, social justice, music, hospitality, caring, listening, or simply being present to one another. For shared ministry is all these and much more. As we rebuild and grow community after the pandemic, I encourage you to explore what shared ministry means to you. Just let me know what you need. May it be so.